prove more difficult.
Shadi, just stay with us a minute, won't you? Because I think we can go, we're looking at pictures from Egypt, Tahrir Square, but now these are pictures now going back to Libya, where I just want to show the contrast, and maybe perhaps you can just talk us through it. We were seeing the live pictures, or the live feed we're getting here at Al Jazeera from Benghazi, and then we saw the pictures that's on the left of the screen, and the pictures on the right of the screen, I believe, are from state television, Libyan state television, which seemed to show a sort of much more sort of subdued version of events. We saw that as well in Cairo, didn't we, when that happened? Just talk us through the differences here.
Well, exactly. I mean, over the course of the 18 days of protests in Egypt, Egyptian state TV was showing a completely different story on the ground. And you really compare what AlJazeera and other stations were showing with what the Egyptian government wanted its people to see, there was a big gap there. And this really gets to the question of trust and who people turn to for their news. It's all about controlling the message. It's about controlling the flow of information. And if you can control the airwaves, you have a better chance of winning. And once you lose the airwaves, you have a better chance of losing. And what we're seeing in all of these countries is really a battle over what people have access to. So people are closing down the internet, people are trying to get around those blocks. So that's sort of the other front of this battle that we're seeing right now. Yeah, I mean, let's just stay with these pictures as we're looking at events unfolding in Libya. We know the National Council, the National Libyan Council in Benghazi, and those are the pictures we're seeing on the left of our screen. They've called for foreign intervention to stop the air raids against the rebels. What's your assessment of what's likely to happen? Because we've seen the Americans talk about the possibility of enforcing this no-fly zone, but nothing concrete yet. Exactly. And now that the rebels seem to be making a request to the international community and saying, we don't want your foreign troops on the ground, but what we do want is air support. We want a no-fly zone so Gaddafi's airplanes don't hover over us and shoot us down and bomb our cities. So that's a very clear message that we're hearing more and more coming from the Libyan rebels. That puts the U.S. and its allies in a very delicate situation. Because they've been saying that they don't want to be seen as intervening, that Libyans have to have full ownership over this process. But what happens when Libyans themselves are asking and requesting that the international community play a more active role? So now the U.S. and Europe are going to have to make some difficult decisions, and they can't wait too long, because who knows what the situation will be like in 3 days or a week. The time for action is now, and that's the message that we're starting to hear more and more. All right, Shadi, thank you very much indeed. Let's just remind our viewers quickly with those live pictures that we saw on our screens, live pictures from Benghazi, Friday prayers in the city of Benghazi, thousands of people gathering to protest, to support the anti-Gaddafi movement. So live pictures there from Benghazi. Well, protests are also taking place throughout Yemen. In the north, it's reported at least 2 people have been killed and another 7 wounded after Shia Muslims say the military fired rockets at anti-government protests in Amran province. There have also been protests in the capital, Sana'a. Anti-government demonstrations are also gathering across Iraq. Hundreds of people have converged in Baghdad to call for improved services, better pay and an end to endemic corruption. Many had to walk for miles to get to the capital's Tahrir Square. The government banned car access to try to crack down on numbers attending the rally. To Tunisia now, a country that's still struggling to restore stability since mass protests led to the resignation of President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali in January. Well, the president announced on Thursday that elections would be held on July the 24th. And in the last hour, the caretaker prime minister addressed the nation in his first speech.
At this time, we're facing difficult responsibilities. As I said before, and a lot of colleagues here present know that in this government, which I'll be honored to head, all those who would like to leave, please feel free to do so. But all those who would like to stay and work, the door is open, and we will help each other and facilitate it. And we'll call on our people to help us and give us, at this short period of time, the benefit of the doubt. And then, after that, they will have the right to judge our behavior.
Well, there's plenty more still to come here in Al Jazeera, including more on the demonstrations and uprisings throughout the Arab world. We'll also have other headlines from around the world. China announces a big boost in military spending to more than $92 billion this year. More on that. Stay with us.
Welcome back to International Weather Forecast. Well, across Italy, we're still seeing some rain showers, all due to that really stagnant and stationary area of low pressure. You can see it moving, but just moving in a circulation pattern that we normally see with areas of low pressure, but not really dissipating. That is going to come as we go towards the beginning of next week, but still more heavy rain showers there. The potential for flooding is still in their forecast, so we're going to see that all the way down to Sicily as well. Nice weather, though, for parts of London as well as Paris. High pressure is dominating. That's going to stay for the next day or so. Also, Madrid is not looking too bad, but as you can see out here towards the west, we are looking at something coming out off the Atlantic. That's an area of low pressure, bringing some rain as well as we go into Monday. Here's that area of low pressure we were talking about that was also affecting the northern part of Africa. It has moved away, so right now we're going to be seeing some clearing conditions for Algiers as well as Tunis over the next couple of days, and temperatures starting to warm up for Cairo. We are looking at about 28 degrees in their forecast for Saturday, and that's probably going to stay as well as we go into Sunday. Over the Middle East, we're looking at cooler conditions. Winds are really coming out of the northwest, bringing 21 degrees for Baghdad as well as into the Arabian Peninsula. We're looking at Doha over the next couple of days, seeing about 23 degrees, 24 in their forecast, as well as Abu Dhabi 23, and Muscat is seeing about 26.
An uprising on the streets, showing no sign of relenting. Protesters united in their defiance of the regime. As demonstrations continued for a third week, President Mubarak remained unmoved. But how much longer could he ignore the demands of his people and hold on to power? In a day-by-day account, we look at the events that changed Egypt, from those that witnessed them firsthand. Fall of Mubarak, at this time on Al Jazeera.
A new world driven by new media.
This is a very peculiar moment in media history.
Analyzing the media's role in shaping modern history. The Listening Post, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Welcome back. You're watching Al Jazeera. Let's recap now on the top stories here for you. You're watching live pictures from mass rallies being held in Tahrir Square in the Egyptian capital, Cairo, where Prime Minister Essam Sharaf has just been addressing expectant crowds. Also in the eastern Libyan city of Benghazi, thousands of people continue to demand that President Gaddafi leaves. The Egyptian Prime Minister's presence at Tahrir Square to address the protesters is considered significant.
I'm telling you that when I tell you that I came here because I've been assigned a big responsibility, a heavy burden that requires patience and strong will. And there is no other place other than here, than Tahrir, where we can extract this will and determination. We are with you.
And returning to Libya, latest reports there say there's been a new airstrike near a base held by opposition.